We're not playing. We're demanding. We're not requesting. We're demanding. We're not urging you. We're demanding you. And we want all the new supervisors to understand this can be a beautiful relationship or a sour relationship.
Is this guy serious? Is this actually happening right now? Is a man out there doing a racially charged protest because a Safeway is closing because black people keep stealing from that same Safeway? Here's a crazy idea. Here's a radical idea. Instead of being out in the city of San Francisco, instead of going to the news cameras and saying, we could have a peaceful relationship or we could get dangerous, we could get sour with you, how about you stop stealing from the store? Stop taking things that you do not pay for, and magically, those stores will be open. I just want to point out for everybody out there in the audience that one of the signs that is visible behind this man who is on the local news, who is supposed to be taken seriously due to a Fillmore Safeway that is closing, due to theft, due to the fact that these people keep stealing from the store, has a sign that says 1619 Holocaust. So we have the 1619 Project nonsense in the background of this, the ties to slavery, because apparently Safeway not letting black people steal from them forever is equivalent to a Holocaust and slavery put together times 20. And if you don't like it, the relationship is gonna get sour. Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Sean, and today we're gonna talk about this Fillmore Safeway that we've actually covered before on this channel, closing, and the insane, ridiculous, asinine protests that are going on against said Safeway, against the city of San Francisco, because apparently they have a divine right from the gods to rob this grocery store, and it needs to remain open for them to do so. But before we get into that, since we're talking about California, my friend Devin Tracy, his parents recently lost their family home during the wildfires. He has a GoFundMe. If you want to support him, it will be linked in the top of the description. If you cannot afford to do so, or you don't like Devin, or don't want to for whatever reason, no pressure. I'm just trying to help a good friend of mine. But without further ado, let us get into this story.
Activists from San Francisco's Fillmore district marched down to City Hall today. They're demanding the Board of Supervisors address the closure of the neighborhood's Safeway store. Their goal isn't to keep Safeway from leaving, rather to add a new grocery store. And they want to be included in these discussions.
So I think one of the first things that I find incredibly off-putting about this protest, about this march down to City Hall, is how entitled these individuals are. Again, one of the main reasons why Safeway is closing is the same reason why Walgreens is closing, and all these other different various locations are shuttering their doors in the city of San Francisco. And that is because theft is completely out of control, and that is because they effectively legalize theft in two ways in San Francisco. One is statewide through Prop 47, which was passed in 2014. Everybody understands this as if you steal under $950 worth of stuff, then that is a misdemeanor. But what people forget is that that's actually pretty similar to grand larceny laws in other states. The key component of Prop 47, which again was in effect for 10 years, is that unless the police actually see you committing that misdemeanor, they cannot actually arrest you, which effectively, because there's not cops in each and every one of these stores, legalizes shoplifting in the state of California. So for 10 years, this Safeway, which had been in business for 40 years, has had to deal with that. Walgreens has had the similar issues. And we also discovered, and I've talked about this before, so it's not new to my audience, that those safety measures, when they start locking merchandise up in order to deter theft, also deter customers. So the only solution is to actually enforce the laws in places like the city of San Francisco if you want these places to remain open. But of course, you had London Breed, very soft on crime mayor. You had Chesa Boudin, who was recalled by the voters of San Francisco, let me give them credit where credit is due, who didn't want to prosecute anyone for anything. And these combination of factors for a decade in the city of San Francisco and California as a whole have led to store closure after store closure after store closure. But do these people actually protest the people within their own community that are stealing this stuff? Do they go after the thieves, thugs, criminals, drug addicts, and all these people who have been allowed to run rampant on the streets of San Fran? Do they protest the Democratic politicians for allowing them to run rampant in San Fran? No, they protest for food justice, and they say that they should be entitled to dictate the terms of the new grocery store that, again, they're entitled to have in this particular area. I say absolutely not. I say shut your stupid faces and start targeting the thieves in your own area. Start calling calling out the bad behavior from within your own community instead of demanding that the NAACP investigate whether or not Safeway closing because black people keep stealing from Safeway is actually just evil white racism. Again, shut your stupid face, shut your stupid mouth. I don't want to see this nonsensical protest. Safeway is not a government agency. Grocery stores are not a government agency. They are businesses, and you have created a climate that is intolerant for those businesses.
We're not playing. We're demanding. We're not requesting. We're demanding. We're not urging you. We're demanding you. And we want all the new supervisors to understand this can be a beautiful relationship or a sour relationship.
Look, again, I know I already showed you that clip. I know you might think I'm double dipping, but really think about it. There are multiple signs that say food justice. Food justice. They are entitled. They have a divine right to rob the Safeway or a similarly situated grocery store that needs to be put into place for them to rob it because food justice. And again, the 1619 Holocaust thing, it's so absurd. And this preacher guy, this latest race hustler, this person that was unbeknownst to me prior to him appearing in this local news segment, ridiculous and absurd from top to bottom. But food justice is apparently allowing these people to steal from grocery stores without any justice. By the way, 9 times out of 10, they're stealing deodorant and laundry detergent, the stuff that is in grocery stores specifically to make them more profitable, so it has nothing to do with food. But I'm sure they just needed to feed those innocent Beba Angel Aladdins the laundry detergent because, oh my god, it's so nutritious.
So the shelves of the store are bare. Newly elected Fillmore Supervisor Bilal Mahmood says produce and meat are now gone, but prescription services will continue until the store's closure on February 7th. Kenny Choi spoke to some customers who say the frenzy to find deals shows the needs of this community and more.
Look at the empty shelves across this entire store. They've already given up. They're already not restocking the produce and all the different various things. The only thing that they're running as of right now is the pharmaceutical services, but we see time and time again that when you lean towards socialism, like the city of San Francisco 100% is actually doing, this is the result. No food on the shelves, exactly what you would expect, and yet they told us it would be different this time. And yet they told us the real issue, the real undergirding thing is evil white racism. Well, guess what? They allowed people to steal time and time again because we didn't want to be racially disproportionate against those who were stealing, and now there's no grocery store in this neighborhood. And now all these different various black people that are law-abiding, that just want to buy groceries like normal people, are out of luck because their major grocery store is completely gone. And by the way, a bunch of other grocery stores are gone, so this is not a situation where competition wiped out the Safeway. All the grocery stores are closing because, like I said time and time again, grocery stores operate on slim margins. If you have higher rates of theft that cut into those margins, guess what? Grocery stores go away. I mean, Thomas Sowell was writing about this in the 70s and 80s. He was talking about how there are no major supermarkets in these areas for this reason, and yet these people have never learned. They have turned once prosperous areas, once relatively low crime areas into theft hot zones, and guess what? The stores are gone. They can't keep getting stolen from in perpetuity. They're already being looted by the city council through all the different various taxes and regulations, but then you stack on top of that they're not even going to prosecute theft, and you run into major problems. And again, what I said about the theft deterrent mechanisms, the locking stuff up behind the aisles, deterring customers from going to the stores, is proof positive that this is 100% a law enforcement issue. Now, luckily in California, every single county voted for Prop 36, which is a repeal of Prop 47, but the fact of the matter is, this is a problem a decade into the making, so you can't expect all of these businesses to hang on for dear life under the premise that maybe, just maybe, they will actually enforce the law properly and things will return back to normal.
George Gibbs has shopped for groceries at the Safeway on Webster Street in the Fillmore district for years.
It's convenient because this is an older store that's close.
Most shelves have been cleared out by eager shoppers looking for deals, including the Vietnam veteran who suffered a near life-threatening injury. When the store closes on February 7th, there will be other options for Gibbs who has a car, but the farther distance to the next closest store and price point are concerns for many.
You can go to some place like Molly Stone and it's really expensive.
You know, I really appreciate this local news segment highlighting this individual right here in particular, because this is a disabled veteran, somebody who fought for our country, lost his arm in Vietnam, again, in a war zone, who's been in this area for a very long time, been shopping at this place, and he actually loves it. It's a low price point, convenient location for him, and even when he tells the reporter that, hey, look, I own a vehicle, I'm able to drive out of this area, which, by the way, I'm certain the San Francisco Democrats are looking for a way to crack down on cars, because cars are so terrible, you should just be restricted to walkability in public transit, according to these Democrats. He worries about other people that have to deal with the change in price point and the distance that you have to travel, again, that you need a car or you need to take a bus in order to get to, because it's just not right. And to be clear, the people that are stealing from this store, the people that are robbing it, the people that are looting it, they are not elderly black men that are veterans from the Vietnam War. This is not necessarily a racial thing, despite the fact that they want to make it a racial thing at the activist level. In reality, who's stealing from these stores? It's obviously disproportionately black men. We understand how crime statistics work, but it's also homeless people, it's also drug addicts, it's also all these different various groups of people that have been allowed to go unpunished due to a decade of failed policy in the state of California. And by the way, they're also being punished on the other end by the taxes and the regulations and all that stuff that has gone on for decades. On top of that, you actually have high interest rates. So that means that if you have to borrow money to operate your business, the costs are even higher, which means your margins are even thinner, which means you should be cracking down more on crime, because what keeps these businesses afloat is that much more limited than what it would take for them to be failing. But the city of San Francisco said, no, the criminals take priority, they get unlimited chances, and honestly, the businesses can just deal with it until they close. Then we're going to demonize them as evil, white, and racist.
Shoppers like Sabine Dabadi, who lives in Oakland, picked up some discounted items.
You drove here, gotcha.
But primarily came to see and hear about how the pending closure will impact everyday residents nearby.
So they also interview a woman, an activist that's actually from Oakland, that drove over to pick out discount goods at this particular Fillmore store. And honestly, it's kind of sad that they have to pick the bones of this carcass of left-wing policy. But I don't feel too bad for this particular woman, because guess what? She works for the very nonprofits that have honestly been a huge problem in the state of California for years and made the city and the state much, much worse.
A store of this size and footprint being vacant, as well as the parking lot, doesn't bode well for the surrounding community and a kind of like active livelihood. It becomes like this desolate ground that feels strange.
Dabadi has worked for nonprofits focused on affordable housing solutions and increasing healthy food access points. She's concerned for everyday residents who will be challenged to make ends meet by added costs, including transportation.
You know what's funny is all this different talk that we hear from the left wing about food deserts in poor areas and all these different various problems and how they pin it down to evil white racism. In reality, what we actually see is honestly there are food surpluses in these areas. It's just a lot of crap food gets sold for cheap. But in addition to that, when grocery stores do close, it's not because of evil white racism. It is because the behavior of these communities, the fact that they keep stealing from these stores. So again, these people are creating their own food deserts and then complaining about how food deserts are racially disproportionate. Again, just do me a favor, shut your face about the social justice nonsense. That is exactly how you got yourself into this mess. And again, I'm still waiting for somebody in this particular segment to say, hey, you know what? Stop stealing from the store. Stop stealing from all the stores. It is immoral. It is wrong. Insurance isn't going to cover it. Businesses aren't unlimited welfare agencies. Pay for your goods or get the hell out.
Essentially, the folks who need this place and like can't rely or move farther, or can't go farther, or can't use more money towards cabs and cars or Ubers or Lyfts or what have you.
Also, take off your mask. Enough with the mask. I'm so tired of seeing this nonsense across my screen, and I know every time I see somebody wearing these N95 masks inside a store or somewhere where it's wildly inappropriate, I'm going to get a bad political take. You know that this person voted for every single progressive policy that led to all the different failures that they are experiencing, and of course works in the nonprofit industrial complex, so ends up having a job based on the decay of the state of California, and specifically in Oakland and specifically in San Francisco. She is not an expert on anything useful except for how to destroy a city. And again, just take off your mask. Enough already. It's okay.
Safeway has announced it will close this location, citing theft and safety concerns for customers and employees.
I've seen people round the door with stuff and running across the parking lot. I've seen folks walk out in handcuffs for stealing something.
Gibbs is disappointed, but acknowledges why it's closing.
A lot of stuff goes on here. Yeah, that doesn't go on in other Safeways, other stores.
The closure is a loss for Gibbs, but even more so for many of his neighbors who won't have as many options.
What did I tell you, though? What did I say? While the nonprofit woman is talking about all the different food injustices going on, while you have the activists calling racism, and again talking about the 1619 Holocaust that was caused by Safeway closing their doors in the city of San Francisco, this man right here, this Vietnam War veteran, this disabled veteran who goes to this store for low prices, completely acknowledges 100% that there is crazy theft and a bunch of different problems, and honestly, a lot of stuff that they don't even want to talk about that goes on at this Safeway location that doesn't go on at other locations. This is a man who's disappointed by the circumstances, but of course understands why Safeway is going to close. Unfortunately, men like this are not leaders in left-wing cities. People who sacrifice, who bled for this country, who understand that theft is wrong, who have a strong moral compass, who end up doing okay for themselves in the circumstances, but still acknowledge the problems, never get elected. All we have is a bunch of race hustlers and a bunch of these absolute low-life scumbags that are promoting the idea that Safeway is somehow responsible for evil white racism and slavery in 1619, and of course talk about food justice. Again, if you want food justice, stop letting people steal from your grocery stores. Stop it. Cut it out. Arrest them. Charge them. Prosecute them. Get rid of your stupid laws. I know you took the first couple of steps in getting rid of Boudin and then getting rid of Prop 47, but push it even further. Enforce these public order crimes, make sure you straighten out this nonsense, and maybe, just maybe, you'll actually have some storefronts left in order to go to. But you know what? Those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about these activists crying racism over a store closing because black people are stealing from it. Till next time.